Guys, welcome to today's video on how to build self-esteem as a business owner, because if you don't have self-esteem, I guarantee you, you will not build a business. Self-esteem is literally a requirement to be successful. Go out there and look at any high-performance individual, as far as musician, artist, sports athlete, business owner. Go look at the most successful people that you know and ask yourself, do they have high self-esteem or low self-esteem? Now, the great thing is, most people don't realize you can build self-esteem, and we're gonna talk about how to do so, at least for business purposes, on the board behind me. We're gonna also talk about why this is important and why you can't miss necessary steps to become successful. So all the time, guys, people are like, I wanna know how to generate leads, I wanna know how to raise money, I wanna know how to build a team or work with virtual assistants. Guys, these are secondary tasks are part of your business until you built yourself up, because if you can't stand up when you get knocked down, you will never build a business. Okay, let's talk about this over here real quick. Action is so important in anything that you do. Implementation of knowledge goes out there and creates results. Just studying and just listening to podcasts and reading books, that's not gonna get you anywhere. You have to learn stuff and then implement that stuff to become successful, right? Okay. So this is what people are telling you. All these self-help gurus and self-development types of people out there in the marketplace are selling you all these courses and pumping pipe dreams up you. You know what, guys? Action doesn't happen unless a few steps above happen first, which nobody's gonna tell you. So when you gotta pick up the phone and call a customer or a client and it weighs 1 billion pounds and you can't pick it up, it's because you're missing this step up here. Your heart may be big, but you don't have the self-esteem or belief in yourself, okay? Let's step back 1 second. Action doesn't happen without energy. Now, what creates energy? 2 steps right here. You need self-esteem and belief. Now, belief in what you're doing. So are you starting a restaurant? Do you believe in the concept? Do you believe in the strategy? Do you believe in what you're gonna do? Getting into real estate, do you believe in the strategy that you're gonna do? Are you gonna flip houses? Are you gonna buy rentals? The belief in what you're doing is crucial, but it doesn't matter if you don't believe in yourself. Self-esteem is the belief in oneself, and that's incredibly important, because it doesn't matter if you believe in whatever you're doing if it starts getting tough and you don't believe in yourself, because you're not going to stand up when things get tough, if that makes sense. So you need a self-esteem, belief in oneself, plus belief in what you're doing, which creates energy. Energy creates action, action creates results, and results are that lifestyle that you've always wanted, which is financial freedom, hopefully through residual income streams, which we talk about a lot on this channel. Now I want to talk about on the board behind me 5 different ways to create this self-esteem for yourself, because most people don't understand how important this is. This first one right here, guys, keep promises to yourself first and then to others. Now, let me explain this. So one of the best people I know is talking about this right now is Ed Mylett. Ed Mylett's a great channel, guys. Go check him out. But a lot of top entrepreneurs will tell you they work on their self-development and their self-esteem first. Now, what can you do to create self-esteem? Start holding your promises to yourself. Here's what breaks self-esteem. Let's say you're gonna go to the gym tonight at 6, or you're gonna change your diet, or you're gonna start doing something different. You're gonna start drinking more water. You're gonna do something positive, or you're gonna make an appointment tomorrow at 2. What happens when you miss that appointment? What happens when you miss going to the gym? What happens when you start doing things differently than what you told yourself that you're gonna do? You had a to-do list for the day, you don't do any of those things on the to-do list. What you're doing is you're eroding your self-confidence and belief in yourself, because let's say you're saying, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow at 9 a.m., I'm gonna hit the gym, and then you don't do that. Every single time you do this, you're chipping away at your self-confidence and you're eroding it down. Because what's going on an unconscious level is you're saying, if I can't even trust myself to do what I tell myself that I'm gonna do, and I trust myself more than anybody in the world can trust myself, how can I trust anybody else when I go out there in the world and expect them or expect to rely on them to do something? I can't even trust myself to do something, so how can I trust anybody else around me? And it just starts creating this downward spiral where nothing happens. When you start holding your promises to yourself, you start believing in yourself, self-esteem picks up, and action starts happening, right? So you need to start doing what you say you're gonna do, otherwise you're gonna continuously erode your self-esteem away, okay? And then once you start holding your promises to yourself, the next step is to hold your promises to everybody else. If you say you're gonna be somewhere on time, show up and keep doing this, and then acknowledge that you're doing this. Say, hey, I did a good job today. I hit all my appointments and I did well for those people that I had appointments with. That's the first way, guys. Hold your promises to yourself and then to others. Second one right here, want versus deserve, and what's a baseline versus competition? Okay, this is a big one, guys. This is one I focus a lot on when I coach entrepreneurs. So we don't get out of life what we want, we get out of life what we deserve. And there's a baseline and an internal thought process in all of y'all's different minds out there. Everybody's gonna be different. This has nothing to do with reality of what's happening in the world, but what's going on internally in your mindset. So whether or not everybody in your marketplace is working 60 hours a week, which they could be, let's say they are, everybody else is working 60 hours a week, but you believe they're only working 40 hours a week, that is your baseline in your internal thought process. Okay, here's how this is gonna work. You need a baseline for your competition. Let's say I think everybody in the marketplace is working 40 hours a week. What if I'm working 20 hours a week? Think about that. So we get out of life what we deserve. We attract, you hear the law of attraction, right? Manifesting things into our life. Well, what happens if you're only working 20 hours a week, but you believe everybody else around you is working 40 hours a week, and when you start to not have the success that you want, you start to tell yourself these thoughts. Well, it's because everybody else deserves it more than me, or they're working harder, they're gonna get my opportunities, or I'm not catching any lucky breaks. So what happens when you have a baseline that's say 40 hours a week for everybody that's your competition, it doesn't matter if they're working 60 hours a week or not. When you start working 50 hours a week and you're working more in your mind than you truly believe everybody else is working, you start to tell yourself, I'm doing more than everybody else is doing. I deserve success more than them, and you start to attract success. You start to build self-esteem and confidence because you actually know you're putting in more work. Like if you're a weightlifter and you're in the gym, you know, doing X amount of sets, but you know everybody else is doing more sets than you, how could you actually truly believe and tell yourself that you're gonna win the competition when you get to that point? You can't. Same thing in business. If you think everybody's outperforming you, when you go out there to perform, you're not going to do very well because you think everybody deserves it more than you, if that makes sense. So you need to figure out what it is in your mind that everybody else around you is doing and do more than what you think they're doing, and self-confidence will start to build, self-esteem will build, and then you're going to have more results because you're going to start to attract things into your life. Okay? New skill sets and acknowledgement of those skill sets. This is a quick way to build self-esteem, guys. Go out there and learn something. When you're struggling, create a skill set. Make sure you create a skill set. Now that you can acknowledge that you create the skill set, now you know that you're better than you were. So let's say that you had, you know, bad phone skills or bad public speaking skills. Then you went out there to Toastmasters and you taught yourself how to speak in public. Now when you stand on stage, you're not going to fear that you can't speak in front of people because you built the skill set by learning the skill set. So now you now have more self-esteem because you have more tools in your tool bag. The more skill sets you produce for yourself or create for yourself, you know you can access later, so you're more valuable when you go out there and compete because you know how to do more things. Therefore, you start to tell yourself you're getting better and better at what you're doing. You're more equipped to go out there and succeed in the marketplace. Therefore, you start to believe it, and it snowballs upon itself, and you start to build more self-esteem. Now, once you build a skill set, acknowledge that you built the skill set. That's really big, guys. When you do something, always reward yourself for doing it. Acknowledge that you're having progress, or acknowledge that you're building new skill sets, and that's gonna make it even better for you, and you're gonna build more self-esteem because you know you're improving, okay? Winning streaks and slumps. This is so important. When you start winning, you start to realize that you're moving forward. Once you get a win, you should ride that winning streak. So why is it that, you know, some athlete out there who's in the same physical condition he was last year is now failing when the last year he was winning, and he seems to go between winning streaks and losing streaks? What's the difference? His physical condition's the same. He can still run a 40 in 4.2 or whatever is a good time these days. It seems like they're getting faster and faster. So if they can physically still perform, but they're not having the same results, what's the issue? It's in the mind. Now what happens is, as they finally get a hit, because the natural causes, if they go up to the plate and hit it, swing at enough pitches, they're gonna get a hit. They need to tell themselves, good job, acknowledge that they just got a hit. Think about what they did. Did they line up different? You know, was their swing different? What did they do? And they need to start identifying that what caused the win and create a winning streak around it. So why do you see golfers not win for years, then finally they win, and all of a sudden they win, right? It's because the shift in their thought process, the shift in their self-esteem, they believe to be more successful, so therefore they start taking more shots as a basketball player. They have the self-esteem to take that last shot, the last minute. But when they have no self-esteem and they're having a losing streak and they're in a slump, what do? They pass the ball off. They don't take as many shots. So you need to build self-esteem through winning streaks, and when you win, acknowledge that you're winning, and it's gonna help you push forward, guys, and keep pushing that winning streak, because when you're winning, you have more energy. When you're losing, you have less energy. So when you have high energy, create high action and get everything you can, squeeze every drop out of that energy burst. Now last one, measurable progress. Right here, I have a little guy going down the gym, and then him getting some progress, and he's got some big old muscles, and now he's super pumped up, right? Changing your physical condition is one of the fastest way to build self-esteem, because it's something that you can see. When you guys are listening to podcasts and reading books, you don't see the change in your mind, right? But you can see it in your body. Progress creates self-esteem, progress creates happiness. One of the best ways to start getting self-esteem going is to get in the gym. When you start to see that physical change in your body, guys, or physical change anywhere, right? you're gonna say, wow, things are getting better, progress is happening. Then you start to get more and more confident, more and more self-esteem, because you see that you're heading the right track, and it snowballs across itself. So these are some things that business owners have been doing for years, guys. Hold your promises to yourself so you start believing in yourself. Find out what your competition is doing in your mind, do more than them. Build skill sets, and when you build those skill sets, acknowledge that you build the skill sets and acknowledge that you're improving. Figure out how to get the most out of a winning streak, because when you get that little win, if you double down, triple down, more wins will happen, and then that starts to build upon itself, and it's like a snowball. The last thing, guys, is do something that's measurable, that you can measure your progress. The best way is just to get in the gym, guys, because it happens the quickest. Start tracking your success, start tracking your conversions. If you track anything long enough, a ratio will appear, and if you start seeing your conversions go from 10% to 20%, confidence in yourself will build, self-esteem will build. If you see something changing in a progressive manner that's going in a positive direction, self-esteem will build, guys. I hope you liked today's video. Hope these helped you guys. Hopefully these help you guys go build some self-esteem. If you have any comments, questions below, leave them down there, guys, in the chat box, and I'll see you on the next video here in a couple of days. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you here soon.